Welcome to Robert Bellissimo at the Movies, where we explore all things cinema. Today I'm going to be talking about four of the best movies ever made. This is part four of my series. If you'd like to see the first three parts that I did, go to the description box down below and check them out. And of course, comment and let me know what you think of my choices and what some of the films are that you consider the best films of all time. I'd love to hear from you. But let's jump into part four. So the first one up on my list is City Lights. Of course, it was released in 1931. It was directed by Charlie Chaplin. He co-wrote the screenplay with Harry Carr and Harry Crocker. He also starred in the film with Virginia Cherrill and Florence Lee. I'll read a brief synopsis. With the aid of a wealthy, erratic tippler, a dewy-eyed tramp who has fallen in love with a blind flower girl accumulates money to be able to help her medically. So this film is iconic. It's a classic. It'll make you laugh. It'll make you cry. It'll move you. It's just, I can watch it over and over again. And what I love so much about what Chaplin is getting at in this film is how we don't look into the humanity of others enough, that we see sort of labels. In the case of the tramp, it's like, oh, okay, he's a homeless person, and so we behave in a certain way around that label, or someone else is blind and we behave that way. So we're looking at the surface of someone, and we're not really looking enough at who these people are and who, and looking at our own shared humanity. And this film really explores that beautifully. For example, the fact that the tramp, when he's around the eccentric millionaire is only really likes him when he's drunk, and when he's not drunk, he's treating him like crap. Oh, get this homeless man away from me. And then the blind girl can actually not see him at all, right? So she thinks that he's someone completely different who's able to help her and all these kind of things. And so no one is really seeing the tramp for who he is. And I find that really, really fascinating. And then in the end, of course, the great thing about Chaplin was that he knows how to go broad when he needs to get the laughs, and then he knows how to really reel in his performances and play things smaller and with more subtlety and nuance and emotion in order to really make the audience, emotional. And we see that wonderfully, of course, in that last scene when the blind girl is now cured. The tramp heard about this cure. There's this cure for blindness. He gets the money from the eccentric millionaire in order to help the blind girl become cured. And so in the end, when she sees him, and at first she doesn't know who he is, and then after a while, the way he's looking at her, she comes to realize that, oh, this is the man who's been helping me all this time. And of course, that classic shot, he looks so shy and innocent, but at the same time, he is so happy to see that she can now see, and for the first time she can truly see him. And it's just such a beautiful moment between two people of really looking at who they are in that moment. And oh my God, it's priceless. It's amazing acting. It's amazing filmmaking. Chaplin is genius, so everyone in this film. Harry Myers is the eccentric millionaire. Virginia Cherrill is the blind girl. And of course, Charlie Chaplin as the champ. Absolutely wonderful. I've also reviewed that film. So if you want to see my review of this classic City Lights, go to the description box down below and check it out from there. After that, up on my list is from 1960, The Apartment, which was directed by Billy Wilder. He co-wrote he co-wrote the screenplay with I.A.L. Diamond, and it starred Jack Lemmon, Shirley MacLaine, and Fred MacMurray. A Manhattan insurance clerk tries to rise in his company by letting its executives use his apartment for trysts, but office politics and his own romantic hopes complicate matters. So this, again, another film I can watch, time and time again. A lot of people watch it during the holidays because it takes place during New Year's and Christmas. But it's a film you can watch at any time during the year. And the Billy Wilder said this is his best film because he got the right blend of drama and comedy in it. Just the mix of the two is seamless and works so well. And I'd have to agree, it really does. I mean, here's a film that's so funny. This guy who's like who's allowing people in this office, the corporate office world that he works in, to use his apartment so they can have affairs. Which is very funny, but then at the same time we have this grim subject matter like happening, like suicide, and a woman, Fran, played by Shirley MacLaine, who's really broken and is made to be very insecure as a result of men, particularly Jeff Sheldrick, who's C.C. Baxter, who's the boss of C.C. Baxter, and so they both have a lot in common in the sense that they're insecure. And, Baxter's insecure because he feels he can't make his way up in the corporate world unless he goes along with being used. And Fran doesn't really think that she can find love because of the way she has been used by men. And so they're both broken in a lot of ways. And, of course, that's part of what they have in common, is part of their connection. But it's, again, talk about a classic last scene of the two of them on New Year's Eve, right at midnight, actually, when he says he's in love with her, and she says just shut up and play. I'm paraphrasing the line. Someone will comment below and let me know exactly what the line is. Shut up and deal, I believe it is. I better look it up because I don't want to get this wrong. Baxter tells her, "I love you, Miss Kubelik. Did you hear what I said, Miss Kubelik? I absolutely adore you." And that's right. So she says, "Shut up and deal." Okay, I got it right. I had to double check. It's incredible, and I honestly think that Jack Lemmon was one of the greatest actors ever. I mean, the guy can do drama, he can do comedy, he can do it all so seamlessly. Even though he's way more successful than your average actor. He's an Academy Award winning actor. In a way, he is underrated because you don't hear about him as someone being called upon as one of the greatest actors of all time or of his generation. I mean, you hear much more about other actors in that generation, like who I love, of course, Brando, Montgomery Clift. We hear more about that, but you don't get the name James Dean. You don't get the name Jack Lemmon in that mix for some reason. So I hate to say he's underrated, because how can we say someone who's become this successful is underrated? But within that those top tiers of actors that everyone knows and loves, and when we look back at the greatest actors of all time and greatest performances, I don't hear his name as much, but I mean, he is so funny, and again, can do drama so wonderfully as well. So I think he's a phenomenal actor. So The Hustler is the next one on my list. This is from 1961, directed by Rob Rossen. It was written by Sidney Carroll, Robert Rossen, and Walter Tevis. Starred Paul Newman, Jackie Gleason, and Piper Laurie. An up-and-coming pool player plays a long-time champion in a single high-stakes match. So this is a film, again, I can watch over and over again. And Fast Eddie Felson, who Paul Newman plays, he's so ambitious. His ambition is to the point where he ruins the relationships around him. And so, we see that with his manager, who's also like a father figure to him. Anyone who gets in his way, he's just ready to stomp on you. And we see that with Sarah, who he falls in love with. Once she starts to get in the way of what he's doing, then he's also ready to treat her horribly and toss her aside. And he can't see that he found love in his life, and with Sarah Packard, and yet he is so consumed with winning at all costs. And I just find that very interesting, because I mean, myself, I've always been quite ambitious as well, and surely my ambition is a good thing, but sometimes I certainly have experience where my ambition has been too much, and it's how it can really affect relationships and people you love in a negative way. And I can really identify with Eddie, because I see how driven he is and how ambitious he is, how talented he is, and exactly what he wants to do, but yet he doesn't know how to see the other things in his life and really grasp the love that he has with Sarah. And of course, until it's too late, in the end, when she commits suicide, and that great last scene he has with when he goes back to beat Minnesota Fats, and he says to Burt Gordon, brilliantly played by George C. Scott, I traded her on a pool cue. That's his arc. He has to learn that lesson the hard way, that he traded her in on a pool cue, he traded his manager in on a pool cue, he's left alone, right? So it's devastating. But what an incredible film, what an incredible performance by Paul Newman. Again, another film I can watch time and time again. It's seamless. And again, another film that I have reviewed. I will leave the link in the description box down below if you want to check it out. I haven't reviewed The Apartment, but I did do a New Year's video a number of years ago with some other guests, and one of my picks for a good New Year's film was The Apartment. I'll leave the link in the description box below if you want to check that out. And my last one on the list, Raging Bull from 1980, directed by Martin Scorsese. The screenplay was by Paul Schrader and Martin. It starred, of course, Robert De Niro, Cathy Moriarty, Joe Pesci, Frank Vincent. Mario Gallo is in it. If Cassavetes fans will know Gallo from A Woman Under the Influence. He's got a great part in this film. The life of boxer Jake LaMotta, whose violence and temper that led him to the top in the ring destroyed his life outside of it. Yeah, absolutely. That's well said. Here's a guy who I heard Scorsese say in an interview. Here's a guy whose job is to beat people up, and then how do you then switch that off when you're in your day-to-day life with your family and friends? And he's a fascinating character in the sense that he's also very, very insecure. And, we see when his wife mentions that someone that he's about to fight is good looking, and that really sets him off, that his wife would consider this guy good looking. And, that makes him so insecure that, of course, in that fight, he, really beats the hell out of this guy. And, we hear one of the gangsters, because LaMotta was surrounded by gangsters in the film, which he hates, and they're always trying to take control of his career. And they say he ain't pretty no more. After he beats this guy's intentionally, it becomes personal, and he intentionally, messes up his face just because his wife said he was good looking. But here's a guy who's really. Actually, I read the book as well. He's worse in the book. He did worse. It's not even funny. I mean, he did worse things in the book that are not in the movie. But he's pretty bad in the movie. And what I've always found so compelling about him is that he's aware. When he goes too far, he is aware that he's been horrible. He destroys his relationship with his brother. He destroys his relationship with his wife. He's led by violence and insecurities and all kinds of raging bull, all this rage that's in him, and it goes so far that when it comes time to sort of redeem himself, he allows himself to lose. In that classic scene with Sugar Ray Robinson when he allows him to basically beat him to a pulp, which is such a beautifully shot, edited scene. And I remember when I was younger, I thought, why is he letting him do that? And then the more you read about it, the more you hear about what Scorsese had to say about it, and it's really it's because he felt so bad about everything that he's done that he feels that he deserves to lose, and he deserves to get beaten up. So taking a beating that you deserve, that he felt that he deserved. And so it's a shocking scene. And then of course he gradually gets worse. He puts on all this weight. I mean, I'm not saying that made him a saint after that, but he puts on all this weight. He still self-destructs a lot after that, and things get worse and worse. But by the end of the film, he is a little better. I mean, if a guy that the life experiences he's had, for him to have gotten anywhere, in that great scene at the end in front of the mirror when he's doing the on the waterfront scene, when he's doing the dialogue, I could have been a contender, and he's saying it in front of the mirror. It was you, Charlie. It was you, Charlie. It's as though he's talking to himself. It's he could have been so much more, if he didn't, and I don't just mean professionally, but personally, if he didn't allow himself to be so horrible around with the people around him. But he could have had more in his life. He could have been better. And so that speech really resonates with him personally, I think. And I just find that really interesting, how he's able to suddenly look himself in the mirror and try to make some kind of a change within himself to become a better person. And again, like even Scorsese said, for him to get even a bit better is a lot. So of course, this has incredible performances from everyone. De Niro won an Oscar for it. Joe Pesci was nominated. Cathy Moriarty was nominated. The stunning cinematography, the black and white, the direction from Scorsese. I mean, everything about it is so incredible. So that's my fourth pick out of these four. I also did a video on Raging Bull where I'm just talking about De Niro's performance in the film. So if you want to check that out, I'll leave that in the description box down below as well. So once again, comment below. Let me know what you think of these four picks. And also let me know of four picks of yours that you think are the greatest of all time. Even if you've commented already on my other videos, I'm sure you've got your own list of top 100. So keep giving me four at a time, and let's keep chatting online. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. If this is your first time here, please consider subscribing by pressing the Robert Bellissimo at the Movies logo. You will see it floating above my head in the top left corner to your top left. In just a second, just click on that and then click the bell in order to get a notification every time I release one of my new episodes. It is absolutely free to subscribe. I want to thank all of my members on Patreon. If you are interested in becoming a member of my Patreon, I'd really appreciate the support. Please go to patreon.com/Robert Bellissimo at the Movies for full details. Thank you again, everyone, for watching, and I will see you all in the next episode.